Guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video, and today we're going to take a very big look at Manchester City's 2020-21 transfer window and review that and give it a little bit of score and discuss whether it was a success, a failure, or somewhere in the middle in general, because lots of people have been requesting this video. But before I do that though, I want to say thank you once again to OneFootball. Round of applause for OneFootball. They're supporting my channel yet again in the months of October, November and December. So they're running out 2020 for me, which I'm absolutely delighted by. So please click the link in the description if you haven't already to download the best app on the football market, but absolutely none. It's wonderful, it's free, gives you all the updates that you need to know. So what's not to love? Go download OneFootball in the link in the description below. And I also want to say thank you to my latest Patreons. 3 new names on the Patreon list. The companions have been added to. Claire Hegarty has got involved in a $10 support. Thank you so much. Claire will get involved with the bonus videos as well. Likewise, Daniel Osterholt's gone big there. Thank you so much, Daniel. And Mug will be coming to you as well. And also, I want to say thank you to Blue Media FC. Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate the support and all the people who got involved recently. Patreon.com/Esteemed Company, helping this guy do this for a living full time. So thank you so much. It means so much to me. You're all absolute heroes. Anyway, we're going to look at Manchester City's transfers and assess whether we thought it was a good summer or not. Initially, I'll lay down my groundwork for judging this. At the start of this transfer window, I wanted Manchester City to do a few things. Personally, I felt like it was inevitable that Gabriel Jesus and Sergio Aguero at some point would be out for long spells of the season due to the condensed nature of this season. So I wanted a striker personally. I wanted at least some kind of forward player to come in and offer a little bit more. I also wanted a winger replacement as well, given the fact that Leroy Sane was gone. I do feel like we were a little bit too over-reliant often on Raheem Sterling. Played far too much last season, given the fact that he was clearly a little bit worn out at times. I also wanted a left-back, given Manchester City's ongoing left-back problems. A centre midfielder would have been wonderful as well to maybe offer a little bit more dynamism alongside someone like Rodri, or potentially offer some of that kind of calm, famous pauser, as it's coined, David Silva. David Silva's inevitable departure would have left in the squad. And I also wanted a centre-back, of course. So I wasn't asking for much there. I was asking for an awful lot. I was aware, admittedly, at the start of this that maybe, just maybe, all of these boxes wouldn't have been ticked. But that's what I was judging off, and that's what was my list, basically. Now, I'll get the list of transfers up on screen. You can see it right now. And I mean, obviously, we did sign a few players for the first team. In the end, we signed Ferran Torres, Nathan Ake, and Ruben Dias, while letting, famously, David Silva, Leroy Sane, Otamendi, amongst others going, which were the big incomings and outgoings. And of course, I can't forget to mention Claudio Bravo. And in a weird way, actually, I guess the incoming of Zach Steffen felt like a transfer, even though that was our own one. I'm going to start by talking about the players that we brought in. Ruben Dias, I've got absolutely no doubt, will be a very good player for Manchester City Football Club. Even though he wasn't Jules Koundé or Kalidou Koulibaly, that was a very frustrating time watching City chase those players. I was still very much happy with Ruben Dias when it was announced, and I think largely it's been, I mean, we haven't justified it yet, but his performance against Leeds, given everything, was really impressive, and I got no doubt that he'll be a very useful player for Manchester City Football Club. I really like Ruben Dias, and I think he could be the leader and hopefully the steady presence alongside Laporte that Manchester City have been missing for some time now. So I think individually he's a very good player. Nathan Ake, I think, had a really good start as well. I mean, Bournemouth fans absolutely loved him. Maybe the price was a little bit over the top, but largely Nathan Ake, I think, will be an excellent and wonderfully composed addition to Manchester City squad. He's at the right age, he has the right profile for the player that we need at this club. He has good turn of pace, he's a combative nature kind of player, and I got a feeling he might end up being something of a fan favourite, useful in many positions. Ake is clearly a big asset and a good addition to our squad once again. And also Ferran Torres came in as well. Torres, generally, I think what he got him for, 20 million, is an absolute bargain, and I think he will be a very good player given time as well. I think he has that winner's attitude. I know he's kind of been a mixed start for him so far. One excellent game in the Cup and a couple of quietish games, but trust me, when the squad gets going and he starts to find his feet after he's settled into a new country and learned the language and all that kind of stuff, I've got absolutely no doubts that Ferran Torres will be an excellent player. In terms of what we didn't really get in, I mean, we got a winger to replace Sane, so that one ticked off really. We got a centre-back in. Did we really sign a left-back? No, we didn't really sign a left-back. There were some rumors, of course, towards the end that Zinchenko could have gone. Could have left Manchester City Football Club and we could have got someone like Tagliafico in. That felt really weird and late. Why that was late, I don't really know. Did Manchester City suddenly have a change of heart towards the end? There were rumours that they were planning to put it off for a year until they signed a left back, but maybe just after the couple of games at the start of the season, they decided to potentially bring it forward if they could find suitors, which is strange. It seems a very strange and irrational last-minute decision. Whether it's true, we don't know, but that were the rumours going around at the time. And we have got now, obviously, Nathan Ake, who can play left back. So he brought in left back cover, but not necessarily a left back first choice option. And I think it's fair to say that Ake, we don't really want to see him play left back often, because that means he's playing there because our current left back options are failing miserably, which seems inevitable, but it isn't a good sign that we bought a centre back and he might have to play at left back. So I think it's fair to say that we didn't really solve the left back problem. We didn't get a midfielder in either. I knew that was a stretch, and that was one of those kind of dream goals for me. I was obsessed with the idea of getting someone like Houssam in because he's got an awful lot of composure, an awful lot of ability, and he can track back, and he can win the ball, and he has that kind of never say die attitude, and he brings that composed, cool style that David Silva did in his pomp as well. Basically, to me, he was like a Gundogan with a little bit more dynamism. I really wanted him, but that was very much a dream potential signing for me. We didn't tick that one off either, unfortunately. We also didn't get a forward in. Now, my forward qualms were based around the idea that Manchester City wouldn't use Liam Delap. I said, if we're not going to sign a striker, we must use Liam Delap. And I'm still not convinced we'll use him anywhere near as much as I think we will do. So I feel like we have wasted an opportunity to get someone in to offer a little bit of reinforcement. I was saying in the summer that my big fear was that we'd go for periods without strikers, and it took about 2 games for that to happen, unfortunately. And sometimes I do hate being right on these kind of things. But the striker problems are a concern, and I do feel like, unfortunately, we're going to need a striker at some point soon, a proper big striker, not just a short-term thing. It obviously didn't happen this summer, which is a bit of a shame, but I do wonder if Manchester City are lining up a big name as the potential long-term successor to Sergio Aguero. And people will go, but what about Gabriel Jesus? I'm sorry, you need more than one striker, as it's just been proven in the past couple of weeks. And you could turn around and say that could be Liam Delap, but at the same time, I don't think at this point we should be relying on a 17-and-a-half-year-old to turn into the future Aguero successor. If Liam Delap's good enough, keep him around the team, and he can be the third choice as he develops, sure, I'm all for that. For now, though, I don't really think it's fair for him to kind of shoulder that burden. Don't get me wrong, he's got big, broad shoulders and he probably could do it, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like the wisest thing to do. And at the time of my suggesting getting a striker initially, we didn't even know we'd ever be using the first team at all, so I still maintain that that was a missed opportunity there. We did get a good goalkeeper replacement for Claudio Bravo and Zach Steffen, but I didn't really see that as a potential problem anyway at any point, really. So we're looking through the list. Winger, I'm fine with Torres coming in. I think he'll be a good addition and an alternative to potentially, Ty and Mahrez or Sterling at some point. So I'm fine with that. That ticks the box. Centre back, we sorted out. Left back, didn't really. Maybe a half point for Ake or something like that at best. We didn't get a striker on midfield. And also in terms of the outgoings, we got Otamendi off the payroll, which is good news, of course, because Otamendi isn't really that reliable these days anymore, unfortunately. David Silva went. There was nothing we could do about that. That was painful. Leroy Sane, of course, moved on for a not very impressive fee of around, some people said around between 40 and 50 million pounds. I think it's around 50 million pounds. It isn't that great. It's okay. It seems a lot, but it isn't that much given his quality in general. I mean, we don't know about his injuries or anything like that at Bayern, so it could be, in hindsight, not a bad move. But it wasn't great money. We also moved on Tosin Adebayo for 2 million, which you saw in my last video. I was not happy about at all. I thought that was really bad business. But that's where we're at now. And we also basically agreed a loan-to-buy thing for Angelina for around 20 million euros, which is about 18 million quid as well, which doesn't seem like good business. Given the fact that we could have brought him back and been a left-back for us, maybe that would have been absolutely wonderful. But that's where we are in general. We also signed a bunch of academy players. Let me get the list up now for myself. I've got it somewhere written down. Where has it gone? Oh, where's it gone, Stephen? You've lost your list of academy players. I'll find it again now. I've got the list now finally. The likes of Jan Couto, a very promising right back. He thought he was going to be staying around the first team seemingly, but he's gone on loan to Girona. Of course he has. Pablo Moreno came in and he's gone on loan to Girona. Of course he has. Then we signed a bunch of players that we won't really see for the first time at any teams, first team anytime soon. The likes of Mickey Van Sass, a very highly rated goalkeeper, come from Utrecht over in the Netherlands, who's now playing for the under-18s. Likewise, Romeo Lavia, a young defensive midfielder stroke centre-back from Anderlecht, equally highly rated. Hopefully, he's going to do bits for the 18s. And Joan Larios, a left-back over from Barcelona. Likewise, Josh Adam as well. Where did he come from, Josh Adam? We got Celtic's highly rated academy starter and midfielder, who I'm sure could do some good things. But you got to bear in mind, once again, that these guys are very young. We also got Issa Gabore, who's been loaned to Mechelen. We got him from, well, basically he's been loaned back to Mechelen over in Belgium, another right back potentially for the future, alongside Clivert Aguilera, another right back currently back over in Peru, I reckon, currently until he joins when he's 18. All these signings are young, and of course, some of them are City Football Group signings. Some of these are only young and they're the under 18s, so we don't know whether we're going to see them, but we can only judge them at some point in their future merit. So I'm going to kind of leave them out of judging this window as overall. Now, in terms of actually judging the window, I mean, it's been a weird time. We didn't solve all the problems, but I don't at the same time think it was a terrible window by any stretch of the imagination. I think it was an okay window. Not a good window, not a bad window, but an okay window. And one where I do think largely we were kind of overshrouded by that whole Messi saga. I think the Messi saga essentially defined this window for Manchester City. We can't prove it anyway. We might be wrong with this, or we might be telling the truth, but it did feel like the Messi saga did shroud over City's transfer window and distract them a little bit. We can't prove that, of course, and it might be bullshit, but the Messi thing was so consuming that anything else after that was always going to feel a little bit underwhelming, and so it did prove to be the scenario, which is a shame. Messi coming would, of course, papered over some cracks. We wouldn't have solved everything, but it would have made it ridiculously exciting to get the player that we all wanted. It was a little bit more frustrating as well, the fact that we didn't move on Eric Garcia. Eric Garcia is a player who doesn't want to be here, so let him move on and sell the player, but we couldn't do that for a good fee, so we've got a guy hanging around now who clearly doesn't really want to be here, that we're kind of in limbo with, and his value won't increase at all. It'll get cheaper and cheaper. Likewise, Zinchenko, that we clearly didn't want to be involved in the squad too, and we couldn't move him on. City aren't always that good. I mean, we're largely pretty bad at moving players, unfortunately, and it wasn't really a good transfer window on that front. In terms of what I would score this thing overall, I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 for me is the ultimate in averageness. I mean, there are problems to solve, but you have to bear in mind it is a weird world given the pandemic at the moment, and City are, just like everyone else, aware of the finances. I know City are cash rich, but I'm almost certain they weren't expecting to go into this window dealing with a pandemic where the revenues would be down from lack of fans and all that kind of stuff, and most people weren't expecting that either. I know football's weird and we want transfers, but it is a strange world where clubs are ultra cautious. I know you think they'd be more willing to sell, but they're also struggling to keep the heads of the water in many different ways, some clubs, and City didn't get what they wanted, but also at the same time the market is a weird one this year. I do think for what it's worth, City will be holding back to splash big next summer. I can't prove that, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if City did splash an awful lot of money next summer. For now, guys, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. It wasn't the worst window ever, it wasn't the best window ever, but it was a little bit underwhelming overall, and I think the Messi thing was a big part of that. Guys, let me know what you make of the window down below in the comments. Of course, it's an international break now, so it's going to be a little bit quiet in terms of like actual interesting news, but I'll be making videos anyway, so do let me know down in the comments what you want to see on this channel coming up. And thank you once again to all the names scrolling down the side of the screen, patreon.com/Esteemed Company, or you become a YouTube member as well, so you can get your comments all highlighted during live videos at youtube.com/Esteemed Company and the little join button. If not though, keep please just liking these videos and subscribing and commenting. All that support goes a longer way than you could possibly imagine. Genuinely, thank you so much for keeping the lights on over here at Esteemed Company HQ. Love you all loads. Subscribe, like, comment in a bit.